Hi, and welcome to Knit Pickers in beautiful Prince Edward Island, Canada. Today we're going to talk about using a Nostepinne, which is an old-style tool used to wind a skein of wool into a center pull ball that's perfect for knitting or for weaving or for crochet. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with a Nostepinne, this is what one looks like. It is, or so the story goes, an old-fashioned Viking tool. And the story is that when a gentleman was interested in a lady, he would present her with a Nostepinne. And she'd be able to judge whether or not he was a good catch based on the quality of his carving. Now, some of the old Nostepinnes are absolutely stunning, with the handles all filigreed and things like that. This one is a little more practical, not so dear, not so delicate, but a wonderful tool to work with. So the first thing that you want to do is to choose a Nostepinne that best suits your hand. We carry them in the studio and online, and if you have a chance to visit the studio, you'll see that the handles are just a little bit different one from the next. And so you choose a Nostepinne that fits comfortably in your hand. Now, how do you make that center pull ball of wool? I'm going to show you. So what you want to do is to take your yarn and your Nostepinne. So you're just going to start with a little slip knot. And you're going to slide that onto your Nostepinne and put it into one of the grooves. It doesn't matter which groove you put it into, and you just snug that up a little bit. And then you take your wool, and I'm just going to wind down the Nostepinne a little bit, and then wind back up. And wind down, and wind back up, and down, and up. And I'm going to end on the downstroke. And then I give that wool a little bit of a squish, pushing it all together. And what that's going to do is it's going to create what are called shoulders on your ball. And that is going to allow you to catch the wool on the shoulders. And you're now going to be working, as you can see, on the diagonal, and you're catching the shoulders as you go, just like that. And so what you're doing is I'm holding, in my case, I'm holding the Nostepinne in my left hand and I'm winding with my right. It doesn't matter, and once you get going with this, you can really get quite a speed developed. And you can see how you get that crisscross. It's going to look exactly like those balls of yarn that you wind up on a plastic ball winder, but this is so much more satisfying, especially when you buy a special ball of yarn and you love just to be able to handle it. So here you're winding it up. I'm just catching the shoulders as I go, and every now and again I'm going to give my ball of yarn on the Nostepinne a little bit of a squish. If I don't do that, there's no harm, but your ball of wool is going to look a little more like an avocado than it will a flat bottomed ball of yarn. So I'm just going to keep on going here ever so quickly, and I'll join you back in a few minutes. So what you're doing as you wind this ball of wool is just to rapid catch the shoulders, and with my left hand I'm turning the Nostepinne ever so often. Just kind of turning it. In my case, I like to turn it towards myself, and I'm just catching those shoulders, and I keep on winding. And you can see it's starting to look a little more like an avocado. So I just give it another little squish, and I'm almost at the end of the wool. That funny little noise you're hearing is normally you'd be winding your wool off a swift. In my case, this ball was already wound, so I had it on my yarn buddy. And this little tool is a yarn buddy. So it replaces a yarn bowl, or even just having the ball of yarn on a table, and then as you're knitting or whatever, the ball runs away on you and the cats get to it and play with it and knock it all over and wrap it around the legs of the chairs. Anyway, so this is a yarn buddy, and what you do now is you're just going to slide that little slip knot off the groove, pull your ball of yarn off. If you like to knit with a center pull ball, there's your center pull yarn. The center pull yarn is going to be the yarn that was attached to the grooves of your Nostepinne. If you prefer to knit from the outside in, there's that. And the beauty of working with this Nostepinne, it's made by the same gentleman who makes our yarn buddies, so the hole, the center pull hole, fits perfectly onto your yarn buddy, which rolls on ball bearings, which is that funny little noise you were hearing, and it keeps a nice smooth tension whether you're knitting or you're winding bobbins for weaving or even winding a warp. So I love working with the two together, but this is a newer creation, and the Nostepinne is centuries old. So that is a Nostepinne. A lovely little story that goes with it is I held a workshop, and there was a young couple, I believe they were from Boston. This is a couple of years ago. And they had a grand time here, and I told the story of the Nostepinne. And when they got back to Boston, the gentleman sent me an email, and he said, my fiance wants, or my girlfriend wants to get one of the larger looms, so would you be able to send me one of those? And in the package, could you also include a Nostepinne, because I plan to propose? Now, I didn't hear back, and I didn't hear that the, Nostepinne is being sent back to me because it didn't work, so I'm assuming everything went well, and they're happily engaged, or even married by this point in time. So it's just a short and sweet little video today, but I hope you enjoyed it, and the Nostepinnes and the Yarn Buddies are available either through our web store or right here in our studio. Happy knitting!